Okay, last lesson and the lesson before, we were using the clock, but we were just using the hour hand. Today, we're going to just use a minute hand. So, the thing about the clock was, and we spoke about this last week, well, last lesson, lesson before, was that you can do with just the hour hand. The hour hand is enough. It's 12 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock, it's 2 o'clock, but it's 1:30, it's 1:15, it's 1:45. You can just do it with that one hand. That's all you actually need to have. But we realised, like people had in the past, that actually when you start guessing exactly where it is, it gets a little bit difficult. If I could zoom in and I could write the numbers 0 to 60 along there, then I could have a really, really accurate clock. That would either require really good eyesight or a massive, massive clock. So we're going to go back to this chap that invented the minute hand. Here's a minute hand. Ooh. Okay. Now, he realised that that wasn't accurate enough for day-to-day things. No, sorry, it's accurate enough for day-to-day things. It wasn't accurate enough for sciencey things. And a proper scientist needed something more accurate. So, what I wish he'd done was made a separate clock face with a different hand on it that did the minutes. But what he did, well, he was kind of stuck with this clock existing. So he took this other clock and stuck it on top of that one. So what I'm going to do today is we are going to ignore the hour hand and we are just going to read minutes. And then next lesson, we'll put the minutes and the hours together and we'll have the perfect clock. So, because I'm not doing hours, I don't need to see these numbers. So what I've made is a little cover. I'll pin myself in the finger with a post-it note. Not a post-it note, paper clip. Come on, through a little hole. And then this one goes through that little hole. Okay. What I've now got is I've covered up the hour bit. It doesn't matter. And the minute hand can go over the hour hand, so I can go over there for a minute. And we're going to attach a minute hand. Okay, so in the time it takes an hour hand to go between two of the big marks, minute hand does an entire lap. And because we've now got an entire lap to do this, we can have all 60 marks on it. So, no minutes past the hour, or o'clock as it's called, 1 minute past, 2 minutes past, 3 minutes past, 4 minutes past, 5 minutes past. Now this is a nice child's clock, and it's got these numbers marked around the outside. Not all clocks do. Some clocks will have these little lines, and what you've got to do is you've got to read the little lines. If you're here, you'd have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. What people generally learn is, because if the clock doesn't have these numbers written on it, it can get quite tricky by the time you get around here. If you happen to count all the way from here, all the way around every time, it's a pain. So what they do is they learn 4 places. They learn that straight up is, it's labelled as 60, but it actually starts on 0. That's 0 minutes past an hour. Today. And then they learn the quarters. When you're pointing directly that way, it is 15 minutes past. When it's directly down, it is 30 minutes past. When it's directly that way, it's 45 minutes past. And 0 is on the hour. Or straight up, sorry, is on the hour. So, on the hour, 15 minutes past, 30 minutes past, 45 minutes past, back on the hour again. That means that even if the clock doesn't have these numbers, even if it doesn't have these lines, you know when it's pointing directly sideways, it must be 15. And when it's pointing directly down, it must be 30. And when it's pointing directly left, it must be 45. And when it's pointing directly back up again, it must be on the hour. If you've got the marks, you can count them exactly. If you don't have the marks, if you just had a clock, I'm going to regret doing this, if you just had a clock like this, that didn't actually have any of the numbers marked on it, you still know when you get to there it's 15. You still know when you get to there that it's 30. You still know when you get to there it's 45. And you still know when you get to there that it's on the hour again. And you kind of estimate the ones in between. But all the clocks I'm going to give you today will have those little marks on them. So you can literally count. It just means we're at the top of the clock, top 60. Do you wish this started with 0 and not 60? Right. Beforehand. So all your work today is going to be minute hand only on the clock, pointing at some various points, and you've got to tell me how many minutes it is. And to begin with, I'll just ask how many minutes past it is. A minute past, 3 minutes past, 5 minutes past, 10 minutes past, 11 minutes past. When you get around here, because it won't have the numbers written on, you've actually got to count the little bits. It's sometimes quicker when you'll say there to count backwards from 15 than it is to count forwards from 0. Same when you're here. Say there. It's quicker to count back twice from 30, 30, 29, 28, 27 than it is to count forwards, than it is to count all the way forwards from here, because that takes ages. Same goes over here. If you were, for example, here, you wouldn't start from the beginning and count all the little dots. You'd count here and you'd go 45, 44, 43, 42. Remember, counting that way the numbers get bigger, because that's clockwise. That's the way a clock goes, because that's the way the sun appears to go on a sundial. That'll be the first piece of work. Second piece of work, humans don't like keeping things simple. Past, 5 past, 10 past, quarter past, 16 minutes past, 31 minutes past. That's all reasonably easy. It's just how long it's been past the last hour. But what people start to do is they count the time too. When they got halfway, they get bored of counting how far they are past that one, and they start saying, well, how long is it till they get to the next one? So whereas that is 45 minutes past, and that is true. No one can tell you that is not 45 minutes past. That is 45 minutes past. But it is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 minutes to the next hour. Now today, I'm not worrying about what the next hour is. You don't have an hour hand. Unlike the hour hand that can do both, the minute hand cannot tell you what the hour is. I don't care what it is to. Today, we are concentrating on how many minutes. So to begin with, how many minutes past is it? And then when you've done that level, I'll do one where I'll say, if it's less than 30, tell me how many minutes passed. But if it's more than 30, convert it into how many minutes it is to. Notice these big lumps that are marked on all clocks, or almost all clocks, counting fives. So if you were here, and you did have those big marks, you'd go 5, 10, 15, 20. You wouldn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the same when going backwards. If you were after this one, you wouldn't say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes to. You'd say it's boom, 5, 2. Okay, so let's go over that one more time. 2 levels of work. First level of work. How many minutes past the hour? So how many minutes past the top has my minute hand done? Level 2, when you start getting halfway on the clock, start telling me how many minutes to the next hour it is. You will not have an hour number, you will just have a minute number. So you will write me answers like 25 past or 15 minutes past. The last thing we can do, very, very last thing, we stop using numbers altogether. And we say, well, this, you can see this is cut into 4 pieces. 4 equal pieces are called quarters. So that is quarter past, that is half past, because 2/4 to a half. That is 3/4 past, and that is the clock. But that is 1/4 to. Now, that is also 1/2 to, but nobody ever says that. And that is 1, 2, 3/4 to, but nobody ever says that. They only ever say o'clock, 1/4 past, 1/2 past, and 1/4 to. Let's say 3/4 to. I don't know, but they don't. Okay? 3 levels of work. I'll do you a sheet and I'll explain it again on the sheet. Okay? Any questions? Just ask. And if you are wondering how I made this, I might do a little thing on how to make this, although it did involve a circle cutter. So you need to make a 15 centimetre circle. So if you can make a 15 centimetre circle in 3 different colour cardboards, cut it up and stick them together, then you can make this little covering thing. If not, and you have made this clock, it doesn't matter. You just have to ignore the big numbers because they have no relevance to minutes. They are only talking about hours. So you just ignore all of those and imagine it's cut into quarters like that. Okay? Any questions? Let us know.